Walk with me.
How great is our God? How great is his name? He's the greatest God, forever the same. He rolled back the waters of the mighty Red Sea. He said, I'll lead you. Put your trust in me. Yes, O Lord, our Lord, how excellent is thy name in all the earth, who has set thy glory above the heavens. Out of the mouth of babes and sucklings hast thou ordained strength because of thine enemies, that thou mightest steal the enemy and the avenger. When I considered the heavens, the work of thy fingers, the moon and the stars which thou hast ordained, what is man that thou art mindful of him? The son of man who that thou visitest him? For thou hast made him a little lower than the angels, and have crowned him with glory and honor. Yes, thou madest him to have dominion over the works of thy hands. Thou hast put all things under his feet. All sheep and oxen, yeah, all the beasts of the field and the fowl of the air, and the fish of the sea, and whatsoever passeth through the paths of the sea. O Lord our God, how excellent is thy name in all the earth. Deliver me from all the hands of the evil spirits who have sway over thoughts of men's hearts, and let them not lead me astray from thee, my God. Establish thou me and my seed forever, that we go not astray henceforth and forevermore. Jubilees chapter 12 and verse 20. Yes, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, those of you on YouTube and those platforms that are viewing this video. I'm Mr. Clay, and walk with me. We're in the book of Jasher, and we're in the chapter 18. We're about at the end of chapter 18, going into chapter 19. Yes, we are. And we notice how that in the previous verses that we've read, how the children of Sodom, how they have called strangers and passers-by. See, you wonder why God tells the children of Jacob to be kind to strangers. Be kind to strangers. Now, these people of Sodom are ones that really are a good example that we should not lust after evil things. We should not walk after evil people or crowds or groups or whatever they are. We should not do that, but do that which is right in the sight of the Most High, while the sun yet shines on your face. Yes. Now we're in verse 41 of chapter 18, and they've really done this man a real bad job. And this is what happened. And they went away quarreling from the judge, and when the people of Sodom heard them, and they gathered them, and they exclaimed against the stranger, they drove him rashly from the city. Now, you can also, these kangaroo courts, this is also like a kangaroo court, or somewhat like the Jim Crow era and all this, where you're gaslighted and you're just for being who you are, you're a criminal. Even now, in so many ways of speaking, being who you are, you're a criminal. The color of your skin, the character, or whatever have you, just being what you are, you're a criminal, without no evidence, with nothing, at the word of someone else's mouth. Yes, and this is what this guy had went through. Now, they drove him rashly from the city, and the man continued his journey upon his ass with bitterness of soul, lamenting and weeping. Now, while as he was going along, he wept at what had happened to him in the corrupt city of Sodom. Chapter 19. And the cities of Sodom had 4 judges to 4 cities, and these were their names: Sarak in the city of Sodom, Sarakad in Gomorrah, and Zabnak, and Hadma, and Minon, and Zeboim. And Eleazar, Abraham's servant, now we're getting back to Abraham again, applied to them different names, and he converted Sarak to Saraka, and Sarakad and Sakura, Zabnak to Zeboim, Kizoabim, and Minon to Matzlodin. And by desire of their 4 judges, the people of Sodom and Gomorrah had beds erected in the streets of the city. Now, this is grotesque. Now, if a man came to these places, they laid hold of him and brought him to one of their beds. This is in the middle of the streets now. And by force, they made him to lie in them. As he lay down, 3 men would stand at his head and 3 at his feet and measure him by the length of the bed. And if the man was less than the bed, these 6 men would stretch him at each end. And when he cried out to them, they would not answer him. And if he was longer than the bed, they would draw together 2 sides of the bed at each end until the man had reached the gates of death. And if he continued to cry out to them, they would answer him, saying, "Thus shall it be done to the man that cometh into our land." In other words, this was a sundown town. Not even sundown. You couldn't even go there even sun up. But not too much different. And when the man heard all these things that the people of the cities of Sodom did, they refrained and coming from there. See, because of your pedigree, or you got something against the color of a skin, and you said, "You cannot come to our town. We don't like you because of who you are, or what color you are, or what religion, or whatever. If you have to pass through. Some of you can't even come through, or we will delete you." Even here in the U.S. and different parts of the country, they even have a country, province over there in Africa, just known for the land of those whose colors are dark brown. And all so-called, they call themselves pink person town, because of their hate. And they say they don't hate. Everybody, everybody's in certain places are not the same. No one can walk through that town, and the government allows it. And the same thing happens in this United States and different other areas. I'm sure places where they don't even speak of it, this is happening. But this is for a reason, that when the cup of the Most High runs over, it's going to be something else. Let us continue. And when the poor man came to their land, they would give him silver and gold and cause a proclamation in the whole city not to give him a morsel of bread to eat. And if the stranger should remain there some days and die from hunger, not having been able to obtain a morsel of bread, then at his death all the people of the city would come and take their silver and gold which they had given to him. This is the work of devils in the minds of these people. I mean, just the pure hatred and evil, and it's just hideousness. And those that could recognize the silver and gold which they had given him took it back. And his death, they also stripped him of his garments, and they would fight about them. And he that prevailed over his neighbor took them. It reminds you, even in this land, a poor man that had been released, or in the Jim Crow area, here he is, he's either burnt alive and they take his body parts. To be grotesque, it's true. This is nothing made up. Fact check it all you want. Burning at the stake. Even in her book, she describes this grotesque act in the U.S. called medical apartheid. Yes. And so these things would happen. And now here we are, knowing that this is nothing new, of people of like-mindedness, thinking they're more better, or they have a better idea of grotesqueness, or these people that pass through are lesser than what they are. Okay, now, and verse 9, and those that could recognize the silver and gold which they have given him took it back. And we're going to go to verse 10. Then they would after that carry him and bury him under some of the shrubs in the deserts. In other words, they would put him in the shrubs. They would not even dig the ground for him. So they did all the days to anyone that came to them and died in their land. And they were all in cohesion. Even those that feared that they did not go with this one. It's really just 1, 2, or 3 that leads a whole multitude of people, that have caused them to be terrorized by the fear that if they should not do such a thing as they do, then they would be penalized also. but that doesn't justify your innocence. Now, and in the course of time, Sarah sent Eliezer to Sodom to see Lot and inquire after his welfare. In other words, he said, how my nephew doing? Eliezer went to Sodom, and when he met a man of Sodom fighting with a stranger, and the man of Sodom stripped the poor man of all his clothes and went away, and this poor man cried to Eliezer and supplicated his favor on account that what the man of Sodom had done to him. And he said to him, why dost thou act thus to the poor man who came to thy land? And the man of Sodom answered Eliezer and said, saying, is this man thy brother, or have the people of Sodom made thee a judge this day, that thou speakest about this man? Now this is how evil the people of Sodom were. Now, and Eliezer strove with the man of Sodom. These are just a few accounts of what's happening here. I mean, this is on a grand scale throughout the cities of Sodom. And Eliezer strove with the man of Sodom on account of the poor man. And when Eliezer approached to recover the poor man's clothes from the man of Sodom, he hastened with a stone, smote Eliezer in the forehead. In other words, he threw a rock at Eliezer. And the blood flowed copiously from Eliezer's forehead. And when the man saw the blood, he caught hold of Eliezer, saying, give me my hire for having rid thee of this bad blood. It's the same thing. Because you black, I wouldn't have hung you. Or because you were a lower stature than I am, I would have allowed you to live in our neighborhood. Come on here. To rid thee of this bad blood that was in thy forehead, for such is the custom and law of our land. And Eliezer said to him, thou hast wounded me and requires me to pay thee thy hire. Now this devil, or this spirit that caused these people to think in such a way, that their whole city just about thought this way. This devil still exists even to this day. That would not hearken to the words of the man of Sodom. And the man laid hold of Eliezer and brought him to Shakra, the judge of Sodom, for judgment. And the man spoke to the judge, saying, I beseech thee, my lord, thus has this man done, for I smote him with a stone that the blood flowed from his forehead. Okay. And he is unwilling to give me my hire. And the judge said to Eliezer, this man speaketh truth to thee. Give him his hire, for this is the custom of our land. And Eliezer heard the words of the judge, and he lifted up a stone and smote the judge. and it's very funny though. But anyway, and the stone struck his forehead, and the blood flowed copiously from the head of the judge. And Eliezer said, if this then is the custom of your land, give thou this man what I should have given him. For this has been thy decision, thou didst decree it. And Eliezer left the man of Sodom with the judge, and he went away. In other words, your judgment is stupid, man. You gonna let him buzz me in my head? I'm gonna buzz you in your head, judge. Yes. And when the king of Elam, in verse 23, the king of Elam made war with the kings of Sodom, the king of Elam captured all the property of Sodom. Now this is telling what led up to what happened. And they took Lot captive with his property. And when it was told to Abram, he went and made war with the kings of Elam. And he recovered their lands and all the property of Lot's, as well as the property of Sodom. Now, Sodom is a very grotesque and backwards demonic thinking place. Now, at that time, the wife of Lot bare him a daughter, and he called her name Paltith, yes, saying, because God has delivered him and his whole house from the kings of Edom. And Paltith, daughter of Lot, grew up, and one of the men of Sodom took her for a wife. And she had a nasty man for a wife. For a husband. And a poor man came into the city to seek maintenance, to seek a job, yes. And he remained in the city some days, and all the people of Sodom caused a proclamation of their custom not to give this man a morsel of bread. This is what they did to eat until he dropped dead upon the earth, and they did so. And Paltith, the daughter of Lot, saw this man lying in the street, starved with hunger. And no one would give him anything to eat to keep him alive. And he was just upon the point of death. And her soul was filled with pity upon account of the man, and she fed him secretly with bread for many days, and the soul of this man was revived. In other words, bless her heart, she tried. For when she went forth to fetch water, she would put the bread in the water pitcher, and when she came to the place where the poor man was, she took the bread from the pitcher and gave it him to eat. So she did many days. And all the people of Sodom and Gomorrah wondered how this man could bear starvation for so many days. I mean, not just starvation, but not even having water they wouldn't give him. In verse 30. And they said to each other, this can be that he eats and drinks. For no man can bear starvation for so many days or live as this man has, without even his countenance changing. And 3 men concealed themselves in a place where the poor man was stationed, and to know who it was that brought him bread to eat. Now, how did Moses know this? The angel of presence. There are angels that record the things. They record it, whether we think it's paper or whatever. They record it. They remember it vividly. I mean, it's more complex than a supercomputer. That they can understand, and they know each date and time and the intricacies of the things that you have done in this life. And so he's just telling a brief history of what happened and what led up to the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah. Now, verse 31, and Paltith, daughter of Lot, went forth that day to fetch water, and she put bread into the pitcher of water, and she went and drew the water by the poor man's place, and she took out the bread from the pitcher and gave it to the poor man, and he ate. And the 3 men saw what Paltith did to the poor man, and they said to her, it is thou then who supported him, and therefore he has not starved, nor changed in appearance, nor died like the rest. You know, these people delighted in oppressing strangers, which thing God hates. If a stranger walks through your neighborhood, regardless of his color, you do not oppress. That's against the statutes, ordinances, and commandments of the Most High. You do not oppress the stranger. You let him conduct his business. Yes, and you be also hospitable to that stranger, as God has said. Not that you have to let it in this day and time to let him in his house because you don't know his background, but the fact is you should be hospitable. But yet aware. Yes, you can be aware. But not like this. Not like the sundown towns. Not like that little neighborhood in South Africa that doesn't allow black people in there. You have to get out. You can't even come near it. The same thing, to allow these things, a government, even the government that allows these things, shall be is already judged, shall be sentenced. The only way you can get judgments out for you is that you turn from your wicked ways, O government, even you South African government, to allow these things to happen in your country, in the U.S., in this country. There should not be a place where a man or a woman or a child should be able to tread. Now, God hated this thing. And so, let us continue for a little bit. And they took Paltith and brought her before their judges, and they said to them, thus did she do, and it is she who supplied the poor man with bread. Therefore he did not die at this time. Now therefore declare to us punishment due to this woman for having transgressed our law. And with that, we're going to say